Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Here we go again. I gotta say those words twice every time I introduce one of these figures. Goodness gracious. Son Goku, part of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie batch of SH Figuarts figures, which has been a particularly good batch of figures if I do say so myself. Not perfect of course, but they seem to have really hit their stride lately, and that is awesome for all of us who want to collect these figures. This one's really no different, though it does basically reuse all of its parts except for the head, as far as I can tell. I didn't check mold lines on every individual piece, but it looks to me like it's a pretty fair conglomeration of the regular release Goku and Super Saiyan 3 Goku. But it doesn't really matter anyway, who cares? It's Goku, and it looks like Goku, so that's fine. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. And this guy stands to the top of his head, not his hair, roughly like 5 5/8 inches, which makes him just about, let's say 14.25 centimeters. And if you want the overall height, we're looking at 17 centimeters and roughly 6 3/4 inches. So it's relatively in scale as much as any of the Figuarts Dragon Ball figures are. I think that's okay. This guy's hair does seem a little denser than we're probably used to. It seems a little poofier perhaps. I know some people are going to like that, some people are going to hate that, so do with that what you will. And I personally like this overall blend of parts. He does have a little bit more of a chunky upper body compared to his lower body, but I think it looks alright. I'm okay with it personally. And it'll be worth noting that this guy and this guy, their heads swap effortlessly, and the skin tone is almost an exact match. So if for some reason you wanted to do this, which I can imagine you would if you wanted to like give him a neutral head on this body, you could do that. Plug and play, ready to go, no issue at all. So that's a pretty cool thing. So we'll also, while we have him here, we'll just do a quick comparison so you can see what they all look like together, give or take. And these are just kind of how I had them in my display. So posing and part options are totally up to you. I'm tempted to make Vegeta the blue-haired one, but we already have so many blue-haired guys and only one other of the red-haired guys. I kind of want Vegeta to just have red hair in my display. I don't know. I can't decide what to do. But there you go. That's what they look like all together, size-wise. I think that is more than acceptable. I think that's pretty fine. Alright, okay, let's move them all out of the way again. So much effort for 3 seconds worth of looking at it. Okay, onto the aesthetics of this guy a little bit more in detail. The paintwork on him is very clean for the chest logo and for the shirt. It's very nice. The blue up against the orange is good. The blue up against the skin tone is very good. Even the wrist parts are done really nicely. The hair is metallic again. Is it exactly the same as this guy? No, but it's close enough that it could just be production variants. They're very similar. Gogeta's is slightly bit more yellow in that blue, just a tiny little bit. So that's okay. I don't have Vegeta's blue hair to compare it to. Yeah, I do. Here we go. Let's see if they're the same. They are the same. So some people have told me in the past when I said, hey, their hair shouldn't match, or I said they should match, people told me no it shouldn't because the figures didn't, and now they do, and I'm guessing people are going to tell me they shouldn't. I don't know. It seems to change from animation to animation. You never know. So you guys can let me know about that if you are one of those people who seems to know that kind of stuff. And I only saw the movie one time, so I can't say. Okay, so this guy looks very good overall. The shading on the pants is not great, but it is there, so I'll take it. It's mostly located around his special place, but we do have some on the lower parts of the legs. We have a tiny little bit right here and a little bit here and here, so it's pretty well distributed, though not on the back at all. It still looks pretty good. The boots are painted well enough, though not particularly well. It's okay. It's alright. So aesthetically speaking, I'll give him an 8. It looks pretty good. Nothing that's really a problem, just things that could be probably a little bit better. As for accessories, we have 4 total faces. We have the kind of angry face which comes on him in the package, a smirky face, a toothy face, and then a yelly face. All of them are nicely done. Not probably the absolute best likeness, but definitely good enough. As for hands, we have 2 fist hands that come on him in the package. 1 jutsu hand, 2 martial arts hands, 2 clenchy hands, and then 2 stretched open hands. And that's it for accessories. Very light on the accessories for this release. Definitely could have been a little bit more girthy in the accessory department. That's not a good way of describing that at all, but you know what I mean. So accessory wise, 7 out of 10. It's perfectly acceptable, but definitely could have used more for sure. For sure. All right, on to the articulation, though it's pretty much what we've seen before. It is a good implementation of the ball hinge for the neck. The head can look up pretty well. It can also look down pretty well. They place the joint where it should be placed in the head to give him good range without his face popping off. So I'll show you inside though, just so you can get a look. We have our little tiny ball hinge with minimal range in there, but it is a ball peg in the top and a straight peg in the bottom, so it does rotate and lean a little bit. And if you really need it to, you can lean that ball hinge all the way around, though it's kind of a nuisance. It will work. Ball peg in the neck gives you a little bit of extra range to make it look more organic and natural when you're posing them. So that's all good. The head moves around nicely. Very pleased with that. For not being a double ball peg on the top of the neck, it does work very nicely. Shoulders, we've seen this before. It's time to get rid of this, guys. This is not a great design. This part should just be fixed to the body and just rotate. That's really all you need to do. But having this butterfly joint in here, that skin tone looks like absolute poop. That's terrible. That is gross. Why is there skin tone between the sleeve and other part of the sleeve? It's not a good look at all. And the butterfly joint is kind of worthless. That's as far as it goes with the butterfly joint. And without the butterfly joint, that's as far as it goes. It doesn't offer very much at all. So not in love with that. That should definitely at least be orange in there, but I still want to get rid of this. These are on a ball peg. Ball peg connecting the arm to the butterfly as well. And then as far as raising the arm up goes, you can see it's kind of fighting. You're not going to get it raised up very far to the side. You do have, of course, full rotation, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. That all works nicely. Wrist have a little tiny ball hinge in there, which work well enough. You're not going to get a ton of range out of them because there's not much clearance, but you do get some. Diaphragm joint is a hinge and a ball peg combination. You can see mine came this way. You see that white spot on there? I think that's because it was mushed like this in the package. And then when I moved it, it was there. So that kind of blows. Hopefully you guys don't have that issue. But you do have the hinge, so you can raise it up technically and then lean him forward a little bit more, though it doesn't provide that much extra range. And then the ball peg does lean side to side nicely. That's good. Forward and back range without using the hinge is minimal. With using the hinge, it's a little better, but not much. Not the best upper torso we've seen. Lower torso, it's a ball peg, but you get almost no range out of anything. It's essentially just a swivel. Floating belt is a floaty belt, so that's cool, and this can rotate, so that's pretty decent. The hips have the swivel, which goes forward, but kicks the leg out to the side just a little bit. Goes all the way back as well. Out to the side, it has to tuck in, but you get decent range. Not great range. We've seen better since this mold originally released, but it's not terrible. It's okay. Thigh swivel is in there. Double jointed knees are still pretty ugly, but better than others that we've seen, so at least they get decent range. And then for the ankles, we're still using crappy double ball pegs, but it's not as crappy as Vegeta's, so that's a good thing. Feet don't go all that far forward, and they don't go all that far back, and they have a decent ankle rocker though. But they're less ugly, but they work. Actually, none of them work good. Well, why don't we have better ankles yet? Toe joint is okay. So yeah, it's a pretty mediocre release. Honestly, it's not like nothing's gonna stand out about this. If you've had any of the figures that the parts come from, you already knew what you were getting with this guy. It does look really good though. I'll give him that. And like, there's nothing bad about it other than the same things that were bad about the other ones. So it's very, very typical. Articulation wise, I'll give it a 7 for a Figuarts, which means there's a lot of room for improvement. But it's still not bad. It's still a Figuarts 7, so that's okay. All right, final verdict on this guy. I personally really enjoy the aesthetic of this figure. I like the proportions. I like the color combination. I don't like the fact that mine has spots on it because it's got plastic rubbing or something like that. And the articulation could definitely be a lot better. And that's kind of like the long and the short of it. Our accessories are kind of minimal too. So final verdict, 7. It's a 7. I want to give it a higher rating because I like the way it looks, but it really hasn't earned it. It's an average good release from Figuarts. Not a bad release, but not anything special. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you did not enjoy this video, well, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. That's okay too. If you haven't subscribed, you probably should do that because I have new videos out just about every single day and literally thousands already on the channel waiting to save you money. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.